Chapter 91 Duguyan's Promotion and Challenge to Her Sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 hours later, the door of the wooden house slowly opened, and Duguyan, dressed in a green dress, walked out. She felt refreshed and had an indescribable feeling of ecstasy. When her eyes met Oscar, who had been guarding outside, her excitement was beyond words. Duguyan tapped her toes lightly, and her whole body turned into a beautiful silhouette and came to Oscar, and threw herself into his arms. In arms. Xiao Ao, thank you. Without you, maybe I would never have such an opportunity in my life. Duguyan's soft voice sounded in Oscar's ears. Oscar was about to say something, but the next moment Duguyan's fragrant lips were pressed against him. With her mouth blocked by Duguyan, Oscar immediately put his arms around her slim waist. The two of them didn't say too much, everything was in this kiss. After a long time, the lips parted. Oscar still held Duguyan in his arms and asked softly, "There is no need to say any words of thanks between us. After all, as the ancient said, husband and wife are one body. Although you and I are not married yet, it is enough for me to have one person in my life." After Oscar finished speaking, he then asked, "How about promotion?" "I understand." Duguyan smiled sweetly, and then said, "Xiao Ao, this lovesickness red is truly worthy of the title of Immortal Emperor. The improvement it brings to me is simply too great." Hearing this, Oscar knew that his guesses and predictions were correct. Duguyan would definitely experience an unexpected improvement after taking Acacia Broken Heart Red. While Oscar was thinking, he heard Duguyan continue, "After taking this Acacia Heartbroken Red strain, my soul power level successfully reached level 40, but because my soul power has reached a bottleneck, I cannot express it. Otherwise, my soul power will be at least level 5. In addition, my physical fitness and mental strength have reached the Soul King level from around 8,000 years ago. I have a hunch that although my fourth soul ring is not as terrifying as yours, it is at least as terrifying as yours. It can reach the level of 15,000 years. In other words, after taking this Acacia Heartbroken Red strain, my physical fitness and mental strength have at least doubled." Hearing Duguyan's words, Oscar frowned slightly. In fact, these improvements were all expected by Oscar, but if there are only such improvements, then this Immortal Emperor seems to be somewhat unworthy of its name, because although this improvement is not small for Duguyan, it cannot be called the status of an Immortal Emperor. Noticing Oscar's frown, Duguyan smiled even more, because based on her current understanding of Oscar, she probably guessed what Oscar was thinking. However, Duguyan didn't explain too much. He saw Duguyan let go of Oscar, left his arms, and after taking a few steps back, he slowly said, "Of course, my improvement will not be like this. Really, to my surprise, my martial spirit has also evolved." After hearing this, Oscar's brows relaxed. After all, this is the only way to be worthy of the title of the Heartbroken Red Immortal Emperor, and just as Duguyan finished speaking, her body began to be filled with green light. The diamond-shaped crystals between her eyebrows suddenly condensed, and a pair of green crystal dragon horns slowly grew out of her head. However, its state is not complete, but looks like the horns of a young dragon. It does not look domineering, but more playful and cute, and the changes didn't end there. Originally, when Duguyan was possessed by the martial soul, her legs would turn into snake tails, but this time it didn't happen. There were no special changes in her legs, but her hands did change. I saw that her jade arms suddenly grew row upon row of turquoise scales, and her jade hands turned into a pair of sharp turquoise crystal dragon claws, with a hint of coldness in their magnificence. Then Duguyan twisted his waist, and a green dragon tail with rows of green scales suddenly appeared. The length of the green dragon tail was about 1 meter and 2 meters, and the tip of the tail just fell to the ground. Duguyan opened his mouth, and a dragon roar suddenly sounded with a hint of dragon power, shocking the soul. Oscar stared blankly at Duguyan, who looked like this. The previous softness was reduced, and he became a bit more majestic and domineering. However, because of the pair of small green dragon horns on his head, the whole person looked a bit playful and cute. Dragon, the martial spirit evolved into a dragon? Oscar murmured softly. Duguyan looked at Oscar and was dumbfounded. The smile on his pretty face became even more beautiful. How is it? Xiao Ao, is there a big change? Oscar nodded blankly. This improvement was indeed something Oscar had not expected. He thought that Duguyan's martial spirit might evolve, but he did not expect it to be so big. Big. Looking at Oscar's dull look, Duguyan said with a smile, "The evolution of martial arts has brought me the greatest changes and improvements. My soul skills have undergone some positive changes as a result. My martial spirit can no longer be called Jade-Scaled Snake. It should be called Jade-Scaled Poisonous Dragon. However, this is not my complete state. I have a hunch that when I break through the two levels of 70 and 90, when the time comes, the martial soul will truly evolve to its complete form again and again." Oscar seemed to understand something when he heard this. It's like this acacia heartbroken red has opened the way for your martial soul to evolve. It's just that you can't fully evolve with your current strength. You need to step by step as your strength improves. To complete the final evolution, your future achievements will all depend on your subsequent improvement, right? Hearing Oscar's words, Duguyan nodded excitedly, because Oscar's guess was absolutely correct. Although her martial spirit has evolved, it is not its final form and will continue to improve as her strength increases in the future. After level 70, maybe you should be called the Jade Scale Poison Dragon King, and at level 90, you should be called the Jade Scale Poison Dragon King. Of course, Duguyan doesn't know what the future will be like now, and he is just making an assumption. Seeing that Duguyan confirmed his guess, Oscar suddenly couldn't believe it. After all, are you a time traveler or am I a time traveler? Why do you feel like you are more awesome than me? Is it that I, Oscar, am destined to have a soft meal? But in the original work, we relied on Ning Rongrong and Chibao glazed Sect, but now we rely on Duguyan. Shaking his head, Oscar finally came back to his senses and stopped thinking about it, and instead asked, "How about the changes in your soul skills?" Duguyan smiled slightly. "Xiao Ao, why don't you test it yourself? Anyway, we are both at level 40 now, and your physical fitness and mental strength are far superior to mine." After a pause, Duguyan smiled evilly, which made Oscar almost couldn't help but go up and take a sip, because now Duguyan is just like the combination of Yu Jia and Loli, and Mater can be enjoyed by men, women, old and young. I only heard Duguyan continue to say, "And even if you lose to me, it won't be shameful. After all, I have never defeated you before." Oscar frowned when he heard this. "Have you never won?" Duguyan curled his lips and said, "Don't think that I don't know that you let me do it on purpose, just to make me happy." Hearing this, Oscar's mouth twitched. "Do you know everything about feelings?" If you put it this way, Oscar always felt that something was wrong when he and Duguyan were together. In fact, most of the time, hunters actually appear in the form of prey, just to go with the flow and hunt you down when you are unprepared. You don't even know it yet, and you foolishly think that you are the winner, but Oscar didn't think so much now, but smiled slightly, and a sky-blue jade sword in his left hand had condensed out. "Dear Miss Duguyan, Oscar challenges you. Please give me monthly votes and recommended votes." In fact, I thought about several names for Duguyan's martial soul evolution, and I hesitated between Jade Scale Divine Dragon and Jade Scale Poison Dragon. I finally chose Jade Scale Poison Dragon because Duguyan still retains the ability to poison. After all, his direction is the first thing I set up was half control with some half assistance, and finally added power attack. After all, the Oscars have changed a lot, so it's only right for a wife to be more open-minded. Finally, I would like to thank the readers for their corrections. I have been really busy recently. Basically, I will send it directly after coding it, and I will not have time to modify it later. I hope readers will remind Xiao Jinwu if they see typos. I will try my best to revise it before posting it. After all, typos do affect the reading experience. Finally, Xiao Jinwu would like to wish all readers a happy new year. Thank you all for your support. I will do my best to bring you a good fan work. Thank you. Chapter 92 Changes in Duguyan's Soul Skill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Duguyan smiled slightly, his green dragon tail swaying, and his pair of cold green dragon claws contracted slightly. I accept your challenge. Duguyan smiled broadly, come on, let me see your strength. As soon as she finished speaking, 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, rose up on the body of Duguyan, who was already possessed by the martial spirit. Although her martial spirit had just evolved from a snake to a dragon, she already possessed the powerful dragon power. The moment the soul ring rose, a powerful and terrifying dragon power pressed towards Oscar, but Oscar held the jade sword in his hand like a sharp sword and did not move at all, completely unafraid of Duguyan's pressure. Be careful. Oscar warned, took 2 steps forward and stabbed out with his sword. The jade sword suddenly flew towards Duguyan with terrifying sword energy. Duguyan just smiled slightly at this. He knew that Oscar had kept his hand, but it didn't matter. She would use her strength to make Oscar take it seriously. I saw the 2 yellow soul rings on Duguyan's body suddenly light up. This time Duguyan did not release the poisonous mist, because her first 2 soul skills also received benign mutations after the martial soul evolved, or in other words evolution. The first soul skill, Jade Scale Dragon Claw. Now after Duguyan released the first soul skill, the effect of the first soul skill changed from the original auxiliary control to the attack amplification. After releasing the first soul skill, Duguyan's claws more than doubled in size, and the attack and speed a 50% increase. The second soul skill, Jade Scale Dragon Armor. This original second soul skill also changed. After releasing the soul skill, Duguyan's body surface suddenly condensed into a green armor. The armor covered the whole body, not only the body and head, but even the dragon's tail was covered with wrapped in it. The armor directly greatly increases Duguyan's defense, and at the same time, her own defense will also increase by 100%. Moreover, Duguyan will eliminate the pain during the process and become a weapon that only knows how to kill, without feeling any pain. The evolution of martial arts allowed Duguyan to directly use these 2 soul skill enhancements on himself, and the effect was more terrifying than the enhancements for others. After releasing these 2 soul skills, Duguyan's speed suddenly increased, turning into an afterimage to avoid Oscar's jade sword, and then attacked Oscar from the side. The green dragon claws not only look magnificent, but the terrifying attack power attached to them cannot be ignored. Now with the evolution of martial arts, Duguyan's strong attack ability is even higher than that of soul masters of the same level, and the most terrifying thing is that even if she does not use the third soul skill, the green scale snake venom attached to the dragon claws is so terrifying. If a soul master of the same level is injured by Duguyan's sharp claws, then the poison on the claws will also invade the opponent instantly. It can be said that not only has Duguyan's melee combat ability been horribly improved, but her difficulty has also increased exponentially. With the increase of the first soul skill, Duguyan's attack came very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the sharp green dragon claws had reached between Oscar's neck. However, Oscar's reaction speed was also very fast. The jade sword quickly moved back to block Duguyan's dragon claw, and then erupted with terrifying sword energy and suddenly slashed at Duguyan. Duguyan instantly used her dragon claws to resist, and under the effect of the second soul skill to eliminate pain. When Duguyan was attacked by Oscar's jade sword, the terrifying cutting power would not cause her to feel any pain at all. And her dragon claws are always looking for opportunities to attack Oscar from various tricky angles, but Oscar is experienced after all, and even though Duguyan's combat power has greatly increased, he still hasn't found any chance. Oscar has always only used the ordinary swordsmanship and Frost Moon swordsmanship to attack, and has not used any sword moves. It is precisely because of this that Duguyan can evenly compete with Oscar. Even if Oscar uses some ordinary sword moves, Duguyan can defend him. After all, her second soul skill increased her defense by 100%, which was a full double increase, coupled with the amazing defensive power of his own armor. Duguyan's melee combat ability has been greatly improved, from a poison mage who could only use poison to a warrior who can fight in close combat. The two fought for dozens of rounds in a row. In the middle of the fight, Duguyan suddenly grabbed Oscar's jade sword with his claws, making him unable to attack. Then Duguyan's dragon tail swung and drew directly towards Oscar's lower body, and the target is right in the middle of the person. Oscar was quite speechless when he saw this scene, although he knew that Duguyan attacked so cunningly because he knew he could defend himself. but being hit by his girlfriend 3 inches below the belly button felt a bit subtle. However, Oscar's reaction was really quick. Although the jade sword in his hand was controlled, in just a moment, Oscar quickly consumed his soul power and condensed a jade sword again, blocking Duguyan's dragon tail strike. It's just that Duguyan's attack didn't stop there. Although her dragon tail was blocked, the tip of her tail was pointed in the direction of Oscar's chest. Then as Duguyan's soul power surged, a greenish horror appeared. The poisonous mist suddenly spurted out, directly submerging Oscar's entire body in it, and this is Duguyan's third soul skill, Jade Scale Snake Emperor Poison. Duguyan's third soul skill has not changed. It can still stimulate the poison of his life infinitely, and he can use any part of his body to release the poison. Duguyan obviously used this trick very well. She knew that Oscar could resist her dragon tail attack, but he could not stop the spread of her poison. It's just that Oscar is now invulnerable to all poisons. Even if he inhales all of Duguyan's jade-scaled snake emperor poison, it will be no big deal. At most, he will only be fainted, and he will not be poisoned at all. Unless Dugu comes to poison him, it might make Oscar feel uncomfortable. After all, although Oscar is invulnerable to poison, there is a huge gap in soul power between Oscar and Dugu. Seeing that Oscar was hit, Duguyan let go of Oscar's jade sword and said with a smile, "Xiao Ao, how about my move? If the person I'm fighting against now is not you, the opponent will definitely be hit, and he will definitely be kneeling now. He is begging me to give him the antidote." After hearing Duguyan's words, Oscar swung his sword and used his sword energy to disperse the poisonous mist. Then he replied, "It's really good," and after the green-scaled snake evolved into a dragon, its first soul skill and second soul skills have also become augmented skills, which will greatly improve you. Although it lacks the effect of group assistance, in terms of your own strength, these 2 soul skills will make your strength improve by leaps and bounds. Hearing Oscar's praise, Duguyan's smile became even more charming. "Hee, thanks to you, now I can combine attack and control, and my second soul skill also allows me to increase my defense. It's a huge increase. I feel like I'm going to become an all-powerful soul master." Hearing Duguyan's words, Oscar shook his head helplessly. "What are you thinking about? You are only at level 40 now. Although the increase in your first soul skill and second soul skill is very strong, it is a balanced development." "Really? Compared with pure defense-type soul masters, they are still a little inferior," Oscar said, not wanting to hit Duguyan, and then changed his words, "But this is just a unilateral inferiority. If you continue to develop in a balanced way, your ability will be invincible. When fighting others, you should get close first. Use your powerful melee ability to make the enemy think you are a strong attack type, and then suddenly use poison to kill them. If anyone encounters you in the future, I can only pray that the other party can kneel down in time and beg you for help. He detoxifies, otherwise." Hearing Oscar's words, Duguyan thought it was too funny. How could he be so bad, and how can you think this way about soul masters? I am just using my soul skills and abilities reasonably. However, there is a saying that although the final winner of this competition must be Oscar, Duguyan's third soul skill just now did hit him. If it were another person, even if the other person had 4 soul rings, if he was directly hit by Duguyan's third soul skill, there would only be one end, and that would be to kneel down and beg Duguyan to detoxify him. So although Duguyan can't win Oscar, if they change their opponents, Duguyan will be a dimensionality-reducing blow to them. Unless the opponent has the flying soul skill, which can avoid Duguyan's attack, and will not engage in close combat with Duguyan at all, or the other party has strong detoxification ability and can remove Duguyan's poison, except for these 2 situations, among any soul masters of the same level, Duguyan can be said to be an absolutely unsolvable existence. Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. Thanks for the tip, man. Thank you. Please give me a monthly pass. Our monthly pass at the beginning of the month is the best. Now, gentlemen, don't be stingy and buy more. Jinwoo also wants to see if he can break into the top 1000. Thank you. Chapter 93 Mirror Beast. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Oscar withdrew his jade sword, and Duguyan also withdrew his martial spirit. However, Oscar couldn't help but tremble slightly when he thought of the scene where Duguyan was possessed by his martial spirit. Sister, why don't we wear Cheongsam from now on? Dresses are not suitable for close combat. Oscar made the suggestion very sincerely, and it was definitely not because he had any other ideas. When Duguyan heard Oscar suddenly say this, she also fantasized about a rustic and royal Cheongsam outfit, and then nodded. Okay, how about you accompany me to buy it when you get back? Oscar smiled and nodded. Don't worry, I have to accompany you. It was getting late at this time, and 2/3 of the time in the far north was basically night, but even when night fell, it didn't look that dark in this snowy place. After Duguyan looked around and didn't see Yu, he asked, "Where's the teacher?" "Why didn't you see him?" Oscar replied helplessly, "I didn't see it either. When you came into the room to take the acacia broken heart red, the teacher didn't know where he was, and he didn't tell me the itinerary." And just as Oscar finished speaking, Yu's voice came from outside the hospital. "You two were so affectionate before, and I, the teacher, can't be disturbed. I can only go out for a walk." Hearing Yu's voice, Oscar and Duguyan looked at each other, smiled at each other, and then turned to look at Yu who had just walked into the courtyard door. Oscar asked, "Teacher, what did you do just now?" Yu replied, "I'm going to help you check out the mirror beasts you need. There are indeed a few mirror beasts in the far north, and they are in the canyon 40 miles north of the frozen mountain. I just go over and take a look." Oscar raised his eyebrows when he heard this. "How?" Yu smiled slightly. "You're lucky, there are 3 mirror beasts there, one with a cultivation level of more than 15,000 years, one with a cultivation level of 25,000 years, and one with a cultivation level of 30,000 years." Hearing this, Oscar was immediately excited. "This is simply tailor-made for me. That 30,000-year-old mirror beast is exactly my current limit. It would be perfect to use it as my 4th soul ring." Yu also smiled and nodded. "Yes, you guys take a rest today, and we will set off directly tomorrow to finalize your 4th soul ring." Yu said and looked at Duguyan again. "Where's Yen Yen? After taking the immortal herb, his soul power should have reached level 40, right? Is there a soul ring you want?" Duguyan smiled slightly when he heard this, and then the excitement on his face reappeared, and he explained to Yu, "Teacher, what I gained this time is simply too great. A breakthrough in soul power can only be regarded as the most ordinary improvement." Then Duguyan told Yu about the evolution of his martial soul and the changes in his soul skills. After hearing this, Yu also looked in disbelief, and then said, "Not bad, it seems that you can protect Xiao Ao well from now on." Hearing this, Oscar was not happy. "Teacher, what are you talking about? My sister is my woman, I should protect her, right? And I just had a competition with her, and I still won." Hearing this, Yu just smiled and didn't say much. After all, this was the couple's own business, and he just praised it casually, but to be honest, Duguyan's gain this time is definitely the biggest. After all, the martial soul evolved into a dragon, which directly raised Duguyan's talent to a higher level. Now Duguyan no longer has to worry about being left behind by Oscar, which is the best for this young couple. Then Duguyan continued, "My 4th soul ring had a target before, because Xiao Ao checked a lot of information and determined several good choices for me, but now my martial soul has evolved, and I need to plan your choice." Hearing this, Yu nodded, and then said, "Don't worry about the soul ring now. We will make a decision after we determine the target we want." Duguyan nodded, then looked at Oscar. Oscar thought for a while and said, "Although your martial spirit has evolved, it still retains the ability to poison. There are indeed several spirit beasts suitable for you in this far north. I will plan for you in the past 2 days and try to see if I can find a suitable soul ring for you in the far north." Hearing this, Duguyan smiled slightly. "Hee, thank you for your hard work." Oscar squeezed Duguyan's jade hand. "What's so hard about it? The soul ring that a soul master needs every time he advances is a top priority, and he absolutely can't do it half-heartedly." Duguyan smiled sweetly, feeling very happy inside. Yu looked on with a smile on his face. After the three of them chatted for a while, Oscar entered the wooden house, took out the ingredients from the soul guide and started cooking. After the meal, the master and the disciple directly found a room to practice. Oscar is choosing the fourth soul ring for Duguyan, striving to maximize the evolution of her martial soul. Early the next morning, after breakfast, the three of them set off directly to the canyon Yu mentioned to hunt for the fourth soul ring for Oscar. After 2 hours, Oscar and Duguyan followed Yu to the canyon where the three mirror beasts were. Oscar and Duguyan found a relatively safe place to stop. Yu went to help Oscar directly. The 30,000-year-old mirror beast was captured. This is the benefit of having someone behind you. To hunt for soul rings, you only need to choose a good target. You don't need to worry about the rest. Mirror beasts are also a kind of top soul beast. Not only are they extremely rare in number, but their own abilities are the most powerful thing in the soul beast world. Even because the abilities of mirror beasts are so disgusting and powerful, most soul beasts will allow the mirror beast to grow. Therefore, there are almost no mirror shadow beasts that reach the 100,000-year level in the soul beast world. Some of the most powerful and disgusting abilities of Mirrormon are the clone and copy abilities. The clone can allow it to exert the strength of 1+1, which is greater than 2, enough to achieve one-to-many combat. Copying is the ability to copy the opponent's ability, or even directly transform into the opponent. These two terrifying abilities directly make the mirror beast the public enemy of most soul beasts. After all, if such a being grows up, it will be a nightmare for the entire soul beast world. The reason why Oscar in the original work was able to have combat power comparable to that of an attack-type soul master in the later period and to be able to protect Ning Rongrong was because his sixth soul ring absorbed a mirror beast that was more than 20,000 years old and obtained a copy. This skill, now, although Oscar is only at level 40, his mental strength and physical fitness have reached the Soul Emperor level, and he is fully capable of absorbing a 30,000-year-old mirror beast, and Oscar himself can be sure that with the soul ring he has absorbed in such a leapfrog manner, the effect will definitely be better than that of himself in the original work, but the specifics will depend on the actual situation at that time. Just as he was thinking this, Yu brought a mirror beast with a body length of more than 5 meters to the place where Oscar and Duguyan were hiding. The cultivation level of this mirror shadow beast is just at the level of 30,000 years, and its whole body is like magnificent crystal. However, at this time, the bones of this mirror shadow beast have been completely broken, and it is like a dead dog being dragged in Yu's hand. It has to be said that although the mirror shadow beast is powerful, with a level of 30,000 years, it can even compete with soul beasts with a level of 50,000 years or above, but it encountered Yu, who has a soul power of level 88 and is comparable to a titled Douluo. Contra strong man, Yu threw the mirror beast in front of Oscar, and then said in a calm voice, "Xiao Ao, deal with this mirror beast." After a pause, Yu reminded, "Although I know that you can transcend levels and absorb soul rings, this mirror beast is already comparable to the Soul Emperor level after all. If something cannot be done, you must do what you can." Oscar nodded solemnly when he heard this. "I understand, teacher. I cherish my life the most and will not show off. If I can't absorb this mirror beast, then there are 2 more in the canyon." Hearing this, the already heartbroken mirror beast suddenly widened his eyes, and then closed his eyes as if he had made up his mind, no longer resisting at all. Please recommend and vote for me, monthly tickets. Chapter 94 The Terrifying Fourth Soul Skill, 1. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Oscar's left hand bloomed with azure light and a jade sword appeared in his hand, directly piercing the head of the mirror beast. The huge body of the mirror beast shook for a while, and then died completely. After a moment, a dark 10,000-year soul ring slowly condensed on the body of the mirror beast, exuding the unique powerful pressure and oppressive aura of the 10,000-year soul ring. Oscar sat cross-legged aside. After adjusting his breath, he calmed down and released his supreme sausage spirit. 3 spirit rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, slowly rose up and hovered on the surface of his body. Oscar used his soul power to start absorbing his 30,000-year-old fourth soul ring. Following the pull of Oscar's soul power, the mirror beast's soul ring slowly came to the top of Oscar's body, and a huge and terrifying soul power pressure followed, making Oscar's body stagger. Fortunately, Oscar recovered quickly, sat upright and began to actively use this huge soul power to cleanse his body and forge his body, so as to maximize the use of the power of this soul ring. Yu and Duguyan, one of them was guarding the surroundings in case there was a sudden attack by the soul beast without eyes, while the other kept his eyes on Oscar, watching his every move. Time passes slowly. Although Oscar's current physical fitness and mental strength are enough to absorb a 30,000-year-old soul ring, this is his first time to absorb a 10,000-year-old soul ring, so it will naturally take a long time. Longer than the average person, but nothing unexpected happened during the whole process. A full day passed, and when night fell, the black fourth soul ring on Oscar's body slowly floated on the surface, overlapping with the previous 3 soul rings, and when the 4th soul ring was in place, Oscar's body suddenly felt a terrifying wave of soul power, directly reaching the 42nd level, and it wasn't over yet. After Oscar completely absorbed and refined the energy of this 4th soul ring, Oscar's soul power was finally fixed at level 43. After a long time, Oscar opened his eyes. His beautiful peach blossom eyes sparkled with excitement, and his excitement was beyond words. Even without Oscar's explanation, both Yu and Duguyan had already guessed that Oscar must have achieved something extraordinary. After stabilizing his soul power, Oscar stood up slowly. 4 soul rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple, and 1 black, were quietly suspended on his body, representing the fact that he had become a soul sect. Duguyan jumped directly into Oscar's arms and said softly, "Congratulations, Xiao Ao." Yu also nodded happily at the side. "The 4th soul ring of 10,000 years, Xiao Ao, you have once again created the history of the soul master world." Hearing this, Oscar glanced at Duguyan's slender waist and said to Yu, "Teacher, this is also thanks to your help. Without you, my 4th soul ring would not be so easy to obtain." Yu waved his hand after hearing this. "I just did what a teacher should do. Your current achievements are ultimately due to your own efforts. Speaking of which, if it weren't for you, teacher, I wouldn't be able to achieve such an achievement today." Hearing this, Oscar chuckled. "Teacher, as you said, I just did what a disciple should do. Your current achievements are ultimately due to your own efforts." Hearing this, Yu rolled his eyes at Oscar, and even Duguyan in his arms looked at him speechlessly. Yu shook his head speechlessly, and then asked, "Tell me, how effective is your 30,000-year-old 4th soul ring?" Duguyan let go of Oscar after hearing Yu's words, and asked the same question. "For a soul ring that can make you value so much, I think the effect should not be bad." After hearing what his teacher and girlfriend said, Oscar thought about the effect of his 4th soul skill, and the smile on his face became even bigger. "Yes, my 4th soul ring is very powerful. With this soul ring, my strength will be qualitatively improved in the future. Even you, teacher, sister, and all the partners around me will be affected by this. A huge improvement and change," Oscar said proudly. Hearing Oscar's words, Yu and Duguyan looked at each other. Yu said, "How do you say this? Could it be that your 4th soul skill can bring us permanent improvement? You are a food soul master. For such a talented food-type soul master, it is indeed possible to mutate his soul skills, but this is not in line with the characteristics of the mirror beast, right?" Oscar smiled and explained, "It is not a permanent improvement of soul skills, but a powerful soul skill that can assist in combat." Hearing this, Duguyan said, "Oh, Xiao Ao, please stop being so pretentious and tell me about the effect of your 4th soul skill." Looking at Duguyan, who was very eager to know the effect of his 4th soul skill, Oscar did not hesitate and directly activated his 4th soul skill. As the soul skill was activated, Oscar's dark 4th 10,000-year soul ring bloomed with black soul power. In Oscar's right hand, a silver-white sausage slowly condensed out, and Oscar's soul the strength was directly consumed by a full third. Feeling the terrifying consumption of Oscar's soul power, Yu was completely surprised, because he knew Oscar too well. At the beginning, Oscar also obtained the 3rd soul ring through leapfrog absorption, but at that time, even if Oscar had just been promoted to soul master, when he used the 3rd soul skill, he would never consume as much as using the 4th soul skill now. Of course, such a huge consumption of soul power also proves the powerful effect of Oscar's 4th soul skill. After all, just making a sausage consumes a full third of the soul power. This means that even though Oscar used all his soul power, he could only make 3 sausages with the 4th soul skill. And the moment Oscar used his soul skill, his soul curse also sounded. The 4th soul skill, mirror the intestines of a cat like a tiger. After consuming 1/3 of his soul power, Oscar made a sausage belonging to his 4th soul skill. Then Oscar handed the sausage to Gaiyu. Teacher, take it and you will know my 4th soul skill. It worked. Hearing Oscar's words, Gaiyu took the silver-white sausage and threw it into his mouth. After the silver-white sausage entered his mouth, it instantly turned into a stream of heat under the influence of soul power. Within the body, Gaiyu then understood the function of Oscar's 4th soul skill. I saw the silvery white light flashing in Gaiyu's eyes, and then a clone that was exactly the same as Gaiyu's body appeared next to him. Duguyan looked at the 2 identical Gaiyu in front of him with an incredulous look. For a moment, she was actually separated. I can't tell which one is true. The 2 Gaiyus looked at Oscar at the same time, their eyes twinkling. The 2 Gaiyus said at the same time, Xiao Ao, the effect of your soul skill is very good, but I don't think it can reach the level that makes you so excited. Oscar nodded when he heard this. Teacher is really smart. I have already guessed it before I finished speaking. Duguyan listened to the conversation between the master and the apprentice and showed a puzzled expression on the side. He had no idea why Gaiyu said that. When the 2 Gaiyus saw Duguyan's confused expression, they simultaneously explained, Xiao Ao's 4th soul skill allows the user to have a spiritually connected clone, and the user's clone can possess 100% of the original body. It has a strength of 60, and its clone can not only use the martial soul and soul skills of the original body, but also copy the soul bone skills. And the most incredible thing is that after using Xiao Ao's 4th soul skill, the clone produced not only does not consume my own soul power, but this clone can last until the soul power is exhausted, or it will disappear only if I take the initiative to absorb the clone. And if I take the initiative to absorb the clone, the soul power possessed by the clone can be fed back to me and replenish some soul power for me. Hearing the simultaneous introductions of the 2 Gaiyu, Duguyan looked at the 2 Gaiyu teachers in disbelief. Teacher, isn't this kind of soul skill enough to satisfy you? The clone possesses a full 60% of the strength, and you can even use soul bone skills. In addition, there is no need to consume your soul power, and even absorbing the clone can feed you soul power. This 4th soul skill can already be regarded as the best, right? Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. Come on, readers, have you guessed the effect of Oscar's 4th soul skill? Of course, this is far more than that. I have already set up Oscar's 4th soul skill. It is definitely a good plug-in for the protagonist, which greatly improves his combat effectiveness. The last step is to ask for recommendation votes and monthly passes. Try to allow Jinwoo to receive more rounds of recommendations. In this case, we will have more motivation to update, right? Finally, New Year greetings are back. It should be available tomorrow, bro, prepare your tickets. Chapter 95 The Powerful 4th Soul Skill, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 2 Gaiyu smiled slightly. The effect of this soul skill is naturally the best at the same level, but Xiao Ao's 4th soul ring is at the 30,000-year level, and can already compete with the top soul emperor's 6th soul ring. Or even the weaker soul saint's 7th soul ring. If you think about it this way, then this soul skill is actually not that amazing to Xiao Ao. After hearing what Gaiyu said, Duguyan nodded thoughtfully. Finally, she found that what Gaiyu said was very reasonable. If it were an ordinary 4,000-year soul ring that could have such an effect, then it would definitely it's a top-notch soul skill, but for Oscar, who has transcended levels to absorb soul rings, the effect of this soul skill is definitely not enough to make him excited. After all, Oscar is a person who has seen the world, how could he be so excited? Duguyan turned to look at Oscar. Xiao Ao, will you tell me the truth? Oscar looked at Duguyan's little appearance and smiled, and then said, the effect of the soul skill mentioned by the teacher is completely correct, but it is not complete. After a pause, Oscar continued, Teacher, after taking my fourth soul skill, the reason why your clone can only have 60% of the strength of the main body is because my soul skill also has a limitation, that is, in addition to except for soul masters of the same level or below my level, if other soul masters take it, for every soul ring more than mine, the clone's strength will decrease by 10%. You have 4 more soul rings than me, so the clone's strength has dropped by 40%, to only 60% of your original strength. And if a soul master of the same level as me, or a soul master with fewer soul rings than me, uses this soul skill of mine, then his clone will inherit 100% of his strength, and it will be a complete copy. Hearing Oscar's explanation, Yu instantly understood. If this was the case, then Oscar's soul skill would be worthy of the results of his leapfrog absorption. After taking his fourth soul skill, a soul master of the same level can have a clone that is 100% replica of his own strength and has a spiritual connection. This is the effect of 1 + 1, which is greater than 2. Even Yu himself can feel that he and his clone can use the same skills at the same time to achieve a combined attack similar to martial soul fusion skills. The effect is definitely much more powerful than that of one person. Thinking about this, Yu became a little excited. If Oscar breaks through to the title Douluo level in the future, and then uses his soul skill, wouldn't it be possible to defeat 1 against 2? You must know that it is the realm of title Douluo. Every level difference between title Douluo is a world of difference, but what about you? Directly use the apprentice's soul skills to cheat. From 1 person to 2 people who are exactly the same in terms of martial souls, soul skills, and even soul bones. When Duguyan heard Oscar's explanation, he immediately understood the horror of his soul skill. Similarly, what Duguyan is thinking is that if Oscar cultivates to the level of title Douluo and allows both her and her grandfather Dugu to use this fourth soul skill, not to mention Duguyan herself, then wouldn't her grandfather Dugu be able to become 2 already? And Oscar himself has the same idea. After all, 1 Dugu is enough to change the outcome of a battle. What if there are 2 Dugu? Doesn't that mean that there is no intact place on the entire battlefield? Are they all Dugu's poison? After Yu knew the full effect of Oscar's soul skill, he couldn't calm down for a long time, but Oscar added lightly, "Teacher, in fact, this soul skill is not as powerful as you think, because this soul skill has another. The restriction is that it can only be taken once a day, and the second time it is taken it will only have the effect of restoring soul power." Hearing this, Yu rolled his eyes at Oscar. This is also called restriction. Which soul master have you ever seen who fights every day? After a pause, Yu said with emotion, "In the field of food, you are simply a monster. Even more monster than your talent in swordsmanship." Oscar smiled slightly. "After all, this is my major, so it's understandable that my soul skills are more powerful," Oscar said, and then looked at Yu and Duguyan calmly. "Teacher, sister, if I say that the effect of my fourth soul skill is more than this, what will you think?" The 2 people who had been immersed in the power of Oscar's fourth soul skill were unable to extricate themselves. When they heard Oscar's words, they were instantly excited. 2 identical Yu looked at Oscar in disbelief at the same time. "What did you say? This is not you. The full effect of the fourth soul skill." Oscar was a little shocked when the 2 teachers looked at it. He laughed and replied, "Yes, this is just one of the effects of my fourth soul skill. I need a drop of your blood, teacher, to display the other effect." Hearing this, the 2 identical Yu looked at each other, but the avatar and the main body were connected by heart. When Yu and Yu looked at each other, they only saw the confusion in their own eyes. However, although he was confused, Yu still cut his finger and shot a drop of blood towards Oscar. Oscar raised his hand and used his soul power to wrap the blood to prevent it from scattering and dripping. After receiving Yu's blood, the fourth soul ring on Oscar's body once again flickered with dark soul power. As the light of soul power flickered, the soul curse was recited again, but this time the soul curse was slightly different from before. The fourth soul skill, looking at a cat and drawing a sausage in a tiger's mirror, that as the soul curse was recited, the endless soul power light wrapped around Yu's drop of blood and began to vibrate, and then an ice blue sausage exuding cold air appeared in the form of a mini version of the Frost Moon sword. Oscar's hands, looking at the shape of the sausage in Oscar's hand, and the fact that Oscar had just asked for a drop of blood from Yu, the two identical Yu and Duguyan both had an idea of the second effect of Oscar's fourth soul skill. A rough guess, then I saw Oscar handing the sausage directly to Duguyan, and then I heard Oscar say, "Sister, give it a try." Duguyan blankly took the ice blue sausage, which was like a mini version of the Frost Moon sword, and then ate it into his mouth. When the sausage entered his mouth, he first felt a heart-piercing coldness, and then in his soul power under the influence of it, it directly turned into the essence of soul power and flowed into the body. After feeling the changes brought to her by Oscar's fourth soul skill, Duguyan once again looked at Oscar with an incredulous look on her face, and then looked at Yu. "Yen, how is the effect?" Two identical Yu couldn't help but ask. Duguyan did not answer, but slowly raised his right hand under Yu's puzzled gaze. The next moment, a Frost Moon sword that was exactly the same as Yu's martial spirit appeared in Duguyan's hand. When Yu saw that Duguyan could actually use his martial spirit, he was stunned for a moment, and then he had a guess about another effect of Oscar's fourth soul skill. At the same time, 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, rose up on Duguyan's body, and then the third purple soul ring on Duguyan's body shone, with the release of the soul skill, the next moment. The Frost Moon sword in Duguyan's hand began to dance like a dance, and the endless ice sword energy instantly crisscrossed and attacked the two Yu. The third soul skill, Frost Moon Manhua. What? Yu saw that Duguyan could still use his soul skills. Immediately surprised, Yu couldn't help but think in his heart, the second effect of Xiao Ao's fourth soul skill is to directly copy the blood provider's martial soul and soul skill. What about the soul bone skill? After all, Oscar is the fourth. The clone of the first effect of the soul skill copied the martial soul, soul skill and soul bone skill. However, Yu's reaction was not slow. The two identical clones of Yu released their martial spirits instantly. The Frost Moon sword in their hands released endless ice breath. The clones' figures flashed and came to Yu's body. The clones were ice cold. The sword was held across his chest, directly resisting Duguyan's attack. Although the clone only has 60% of Yu's strength, its soul power level is as high as 60% of the 88 level Yu's strength, which is far beyond what Duguyan, who is only at level 40, can compare with today, but it was not over. Then the third soul skill was blocked, but Duguyan slowly raised her right arm. The ice blue soul power light condensed on her right arm, and an ice blue element in the shape of a sword formed. Suddenly burst out. Ice Dragon Python's right arm's soul bone skill, Ice Age. Terrifying ice suddenly erupted from Duguyan's right arm. This was obviously not the soul bone skill of her right arm, but Yu's soul bone skill copied through Oscar's fourth soul skill. The terrifying power of freezing suddenly broke out and attacked Yu's clone. The terrifying power of ice directly froze the environment around Duguyan. Yu raised his eyebrows when he saw this scene. He knew that Oscar's fourth soul skill was definitely not simple. After all, that was the case with the sausage before. However, facing Duguyan's copy of his own soul bone skills, the clone Yu just slowly raised his right arm, and the same icy blue light swayed, but it was not an attack, but directly directed Duguyan's attack to Duguyan. All absorbed. Duguyan, on the other hand, used all his strength to activate the soul bone skill copied from Yu, and his soul power was almost exhausted. After withdrawing the soul, he stopped attacking, but the copied soul did not disappear. Yu also withdrew his clone at this time and looked at Oscar with some horror. Xiao Ao, although the effects of your two fourth soul skills are similar, they are completely different. Doesn't this represent your fourth soul skill? Soul skills have two forms of skills. Having said this, even Duguyan couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Ao, your soul skill is completely comparable to 100,000-year soul skill, right? One soul skill has two effects. This is not something that only 100,000-year soul ring can possess. Looking at the horrified two people, Oscar's smile remained unchanged. Actually, I'm quite surprised, but that's the fact. My fourth soul skill has two effects. One is the mirror clone intestine used by the teacher before, and the second is this mirror clone intestine. I guess you also noticed the changes in my soul curse just now, right? There are two full names for my soul curse. One is, photography of a tiger, a cat, a mirror image of a clone sausage. I don't need other people's blood to create this effect. The effect is after the user takes it, he can condense a clone without consuming soul power. If the user has the same number of soul rings as I do, then the clone can have 100% of the abilities of the original body, including martial souls, soul skills and soul bones. For an identical clone, if the level is higher than mine, the strength of the clone will drop by 10% for every additional soul ring. The full name of the soul spell for the second effect is, Mirror Image Copy Sausage. The effect is that it can completely copy the spirit, soul skills and soul bone skills of the blood provider, and the strength exerted is based on it depends on the user's own soul power level. If the user's physical fitness and soul power are stronger than those of the blood copier, then at the same level, the soul master who uses my fourth soul skill can still exert more powerful strength. This is completely it is based on the user's own strength. And after using the clone sausage, unless the soul power is exhausted, you can always have the ability to provide blood soul masters, and there is no time limit. Hearing Oscar's detailed explanation, both Gaiyu and Duguyan couldn't help but open their mouths in surprise, 1 soul skill and 2 skill effects. And there are 2 such powerful effects. Oscar's fourth soul skill is completely comparable to 100,000-year soul ring, right? Is this the benefit of absorbing soul rings beyond 1 level? And even if it is 100,000-year soul skill, it may not be as powerful as the 2 effects of Oscar's fourth soul skill, right? Oscar's own thoughts are actually similar to those of Gaiyu and Duguyan. He originally just thought that being able to obtain the ability to copy sausages would be enough, but he didn't expect that there would be an unexpected gain this time. Moreover, Oscar's own replica sausage in the original work can only exert 70% of the strength of the blood provider. Even with the blessing of the head soul bone, it can only reach 80%. And it seems that it can only copy the martial soul and soul skills of the blood provider, but not the soul bone skills. And it can only be used for 3 minutes. But Oscar's current replica sausage can perfectly replicate the blood provider's martial arts, soul skills and soul bone skills. And can you still exert 100% of your strength? The most important thing is that after taking Oscar's replica sausage, there is no time limit, but until the soul power is exhausted. And if the user is already strong enough, can he develop even more powerful strength? Now the effect of the copied sausage alone has far exceeded the power of the original, not to mention that Oscar's fourth soul skill actually has 2 different effects. When no one's blood is used, the original clone sausage becomes a clone sausage, and this is the skill of Oscar's head soul bone in the original work. However, what surprised Oscar was that in the original work, Oscar's 6th soul ring was only over 20,000 years old when a soul bone exploded, and his 4th soul ring came from a 30,000-year-old mirror beast. No soul bones were revealed. Could it be because his 4th soul skill already possesses the characteristics of the 2 most powerful skills of the mirror shadow beast? Is that why the soul bone wasn't exploded? In fact, what Oscar doesn't know is that the reason why he can have 2 effects in 1 soul skill is that, in addition to his own current talent, there is also the reason why this mirror beast is willing to be absorbed by Oscar, because when Oscar was about to kill the mirror beast, his words made the mirror beast no longer want to resist. At that time, Oscar and Gaiyu said that if they could not absorb this 30,000-year-old spirit ring, there would still be 2 mirror beasts in the canyon. And those 2 mirror beasts are the wives and children of this 30,000-year-old mirror beast. Oscar didn't know that his unintentional words had caused some changes in his 4th soul ring. Of course, in the final analysis, this is because Oscar's current talent is strong enough to carry the 2 skill effects of the mirror beast. Otherwise, even if the mirror beast takes the initiative to sacrifice, he will not be able to achieve such a gain. After all, although Oscar's martial spirit is just a sausage, after so many evolutions of absorbing soul rings, absorbing 2 immortal herbs in the ice and fire eyes, and the body-forging evolution in the ice and fire eyes, his sausage Wuhuan has long since changed from what it used to be, if Oscar's sausage martial spirit was only a top-level food-type martial spirit before, then his sausage martial spirit now definitely exceeds this level, not to mention reaching the level of a seraphim, but it's definitely not far behind. Oscar himself knows this, but he just doesn't have an intuitive feeling. Now his fourth spirit ring has two effects, which is enough to show that Oscar's martial spirit itself has surpassed the level of top martial arts, and Guy Yu and Duguyan also discovered a rather special point, which was the subtle changes in Oscar's two soul curses. The soul spell of the clone sausage is draw a cat from a tiger. If we understand it literally and in terms of ability, it means that the user makes a copy of himself, compares himself to a tiger, and compares the copy to a cat. Copying sausages is like copying a cat and painting a tiger. The blood provider is compared to a cat, and the copied ability is a tiger. This also clearly distinguishes why the clone sausage can allow the user to even exert more power than the blood provider. Of course, the premise is that your background must be higher than that of the blood provider. The two soul incantations of Oscar's fourth soul skill are simplified as mirror sausage of a tiger and a cat, and sausage of a cat and a tiger. The clone sausages are photograph a tiger like a cat and a mirror image sausage, while the duplicate sausage is a photograph a cat like a tiger and a mirror sausage. Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. Here are 5,000 words to calm down the shock, and in the evening there will be cute brothers. Of course, if Brother Meng can give more support, Jinwoo can also consider breaking out into 10,000 words a day. Finally, please ask for recommendation votes and monthly passes. Thank you. Chapter 96 Guy Yu's Reminder, Ice Origin Chilong. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After using the fourth soul skill twice in a row, Oscar's soul power was directly reduced by 2/3, which was undoubtedly a huge drain on him. However, Oscar himself is a top food-type soul master. Oscar directly took out two long-preserved first soul skills, super recovery sausages from the soul guide, and threw them into his mouth. Two large super restoring sausages turned into heat and entered the body, and Oscar's consumed soul power was quickly restored. At this moment, Oscar was still pleasantly surprised by his harvest this time. After all, even he himself did not expect that his fourth soul skill could actually have such an effect. Overall, these two soul skills of his are no less than those provided by a 100,000-year-old soul ring. This is not in vain that the fourth soul ring he absorbed by leapfrog reached a level of 30,000 years. At this time, Oscar is still thinking, if his future soul rings are still absorbed infinitely like this, will the power of his soul skills be even more powerful? Guy Yu is also extremely surprised by Oscar's harvest this time. After all, the effect of Oscar's soul skill was no less than that of a skill produced by a 100,000-year soul ring. Even Guy Yu, who was about to break through level 90, felt envious of Oscar's gains this time. After all, the two effects of Oscar's fourth soul skill are too powerful. As long as Oscar has these two soul skills in the future, whether it is his own strength or assisting others, he will definitely be able to dominate the battlefield. But Guy Yu still has a doubt, that is, can these two sausages with Oscar's huge soul skill effects be taken at the same time? Guy Yu directly asked his doubts. Oscar smiled slightly when he heard this and explained, it's okay to take the fourth soul skill sausage with two effects at the same time, but you can only take one per day. If you take the second one, in addition to replenishing your soul power, it has no effect. After a pause, Oscar continued, but there is one special thing, that is, if the sausages with these two soul skill effects are taken in different orders, the effects will be different. For example, teacher, if you take the clone sausage first, then the clone will be yourself. If you take the clone sausage first and then the clone sausage, then the clone will be the clone after you copy someone else's martial spirit. This is one of them, the only difference. After hearing this explanation, Guy Yu and Duguyan instantly understood that the sausages with two effects could be taken at the same time, but the change in order would cause changes in the clones. In fact, this is not a shortcoming, but an advantage. In this case, Oscar's fourth soul skill will appear to be very diverse. After learning all the effects of Oscar's fourth soul skill, Guy Yu reminded, Xiao Ao, although your fourth soul skill is very powerful and has two soul skill effects, I suggest you only expose one of them and expose the other. One can be kept as a trump card. Guy Yu said, paused, seemed to have thought of something, and his tone became very solemn. This world has never lacked geniuses, and many people are not as kind as they imagined. If there are people with ill intentions, after learning your fourth soul skill has 2 soul skill effects, and both have abilities comparable to 100,000-year soul ring, so the other party will definitely cause you some harm. But after saying this, Yu became very fierce. Of course, if you are a master, anyone who wants to harm you must step over my body. Hearing these last words, Oscar looked at Yu with great emotion. Teacher, I understand. Don't worry, I cherish my life the most and will not let others know my true identity. Hearing this, Yu nodded. I also know your kid's temper. These words are just a reminder to you. Just don't be blinded by the momentary pleasure. Then Duguyan asked from the side, Xiao Ao, in addition to soul skills, your improvement in other aspects should not be small, right? Oscar heard this and replied, well, the soul skill is indeed an unexpected blessing, but my own improvement is not small. After absorbing this 30,000-year-old fourth soul ring, my physical fitness and mental strength have reached the middle stage from the early stage of Soul Emperor at the same time, which is about level 65 to 66. After the Soul Master absorbs the Soul Ring, the improvement brought by the Soul Ring to the Soul Master is comprehensive, especially the Soul Ring above the 10,000-year level, which can not only bring a huge increase in the Soul Master's physical fitness, but also improve the Soul Master's mental strength. It has the same level of improvement effect. After hearing Oscar's words, Yu and Duguyan felt that such an improvement was a bit ordinary. After all, compared with Oscar's fourth soul skill, this was indeed very ordinary. Compared to Yu and Duguyan, Oscar is more aware of the terrifying effect of his fourth soul skill, and the most important thing is that he himself can also take sausages with 2 effects of the fourth soul skill at the same time, and he can also take sausages with other soul skills. And at the same time he can also enjoy the amplifying effect of the auxiliary soul master. For Oscar, this completely gave him a chance to become a truly strong man. If you only use the external soul bone, the strength that Oscar can exert is actually limited, but if you can copy other people's martial arts, it will definitely be a terrifying improvement for Oscar's strength. It's like Oscar copied Yu's martial spirit. With Oscar's current physical fitness and mental strength, using Yu's martial spirit would definitely be many times more powerful than Yu himself at the same time, and if Oscar continues to improve like this, when he reaches the level of title Douluo and copies other people's martial arts, his strength will be even more powerful than the blood provider himself, and this has absolutely no restrictions on Oscar. For Oscar, his fourth soul skill is the beginning of him becoming a truly powerful person, and from this moment on, he is no longer a simple food-type soul master or an attack-type soul master, but a versatile soul master. As long as he can get the opponent's blood, Oscar can be any type of soul master. After absorbing the soul ring, Oscar put the body of the mirror beast into the soul guide. Although the soul bone was not exploded this time, his soul skills became more powerful, and the harvest was far greater than a piece of soul bone. 30,000-year soul bones are more practical. It was already dark at this time, but for Yu, the 88th level Contra, he was not worried at all even in the inner reaches of the far north. After all, with his current strength, even if it is 100,000 years even spirit beasts can fight with it, so the 3 of them did not choose to spend the night here, but returned to Yu's seclusion. Yu, Oscar, and Duguyan flew directly with their swords back to their residence in Bingfeng Mountain. Although Duguyan couldn't fly, she had a boyfriend. Although Oscar's current flying speed with his sword is not as fast as that of Yu, it has already surpassed the flying speed of most Soul King level flying soul masters. Therefore, it only took more than an hour for the 3 of them to return to Yu's residence. Now that Oscar's soul ring has been obtained, only Duguyan's fourth soul ring is left. Her fourth soul ring also needs to make some changes due to the evolution of martial arts. Now Duguyan's fourth soul ring needs the characteristics of dragon and poison, and the far north also has souls corresponding to the combination of these 2 elements. Beast, Oscar searched for a lot of information and finally locked on a special spirit beast living in the far north, named Ice Origin Chilong. The Ice Origin Chilong is a type of true dragon. It looks like a snake, has no horns, and has 4 claws on its belly. It feeds on extremely poisonous things from the ice origin. It usually lives in an environment of at least 50 degrees below zero. Its combat power is not outstanding, but because it has the blood of a true dragon, even if its combat power is not outstanding, ordinary soul beasts of the same level are definitely no match for the ice origin Chilong. What ice origin Chilong is best at is actually poison. It has perfect control over any ice attribute toxins. When it comes to using poison, ice origin Chilong is definitely top-notch, but the attribute of its poison is cold, and this is also the soul beast of the highest quality and most suitable as Duguyan's fourth soul ring. An ice spirit stream in the far north has been recorded as having an ice origin Chilong. However, whether it exists there or not requires actual exploration. Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. Chapter 97 Wonderful Ideas, Level 47. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. It was already late at night when we returned to Gaiyu's seclusion, and the three of them each chose a wooden house to rest. Oscar did not practice tonight, but had a fantastic idea about the two effects of his fourth soul skill. One effect of his fourth soul skill is clone, and the other effect is replication. If he takes the clone sausage himself, he can have a clone that has exactly the same strength as the original body and is connected to the soul. The most important thing is that the clone has no time limit and will only disappear when the clone's soul power is exhausted or is taken back by Oscar. In addition to the fact that the clone cannot practice to improve the soul power level, he can also practice to restore his soul power. In other words, if the clone is not allowed to completely consume the soul power, the clone can theoretically exist forever and have exactly the same strength as Oscar's body. If this is the case, then there is too much room for Oscar to operate. In this regard, after all, one Oscar is different from two, or even three, four Oscars. If this is the case, Oscar can completely use the clone to do many things, and even if the clone is gone by then, he will not suffer any loss. It is just that he needs to spend more time to restore his soul power. After all, each clone sausage consumes 1/3 of Oscar's soul power, and it takes time to restore the soul power. Of course, Oscar himself is the top food type soul master, and taking the first soul skill, the super recovery sausage, is enough to cause a bug, and if this is the case, Oscar can usually make more clones if he has nothing to do. After all, these clones do not need to consume soul power after they are made, and every time they consume soul power, as long as they do not use it up all at once, they can also practice and recover by themselves. Return. And by doing this, Oscar is equivalent to storing many power banks, because when the clone is taken back, it can replenish Oscar's soul power. For example, if Oscar's clone does not consume any soul power, it will replenish 1/3 of Oscar's soul power when it is recovered, and because the main body and the clone are spiritually connected, even if the clone is not around, as long as Oscar has a thought, the clone's energy will be directly transmitted into Oscar's body through the characteristics of the soul skill, restoring his soul power. Oscar does not need to take anything during this process, he only needs a thought, and this is equivalent to giving Oscar an extra wireless power bank, which is simply more convenient and faster than taking a super recovery sausage. However, there is a problem. The clone cannot practice and advance on its own. If the clone is made at Oscar level 43 now, then the strength of the clone will always be at Oscar level 43. Even if Oscar's soul power level increases in the future, the clone will not improve, it will always be Oscar level 43. This may be the only drawback. Of course, the clone can also take the replica sausage and obtain the martial spirit of the blood provider. Based on this, Oscar had a bold idea about his fourth soul skill, such as one person against one country. Oscar only needs to use the clone sausages to make a few clones, and then let the clones make clone sausages and duplicate sausages. So that infinite nesting dolls can be realized. After all, as long as the clone does not completely consume its soul power, unless it is killed by others or Oscar takes it back by himself, the clone can theoretically exist forever, and Oscar himself only needs to make a few clones every time he breaks through a level, or even when he breaks through the first level of soul power. If Oscar does this from now on, then in the future Oscar will be able to have countless clones ranging from level 43 to the ultimate level. If this idea can be realized, then at some point in the future, Oscar can be one person against one country. If paired with a replica sausage, then Oscar can be the entire Soul Master world. Thinking like this, Oscar felt that his breathing became a little heavier. If this thought can become a reality, as time goes by, Oscar will become the uncrowned king of the entire Douluo Continent. After all, this idea is so magical and terrifying. If it can be realized, Oscar will be unrivaled, and he only needs to hide his identity and hide among the crowd. As long as no one discovers him, he will be invincible. It's just that all this is just an idea of Oscar's. Whether it can be realized in the future still requires further experiments by Oscar. When Oscar had sorted out the entire process and details, it was already dawn. Oscar thought for a moment, and then used his fourth soul skill to create a mirror sausage that resembles a tiger and a cat. After Oscar took the mirror sausage, an identical Oscar appeared next to him. After Oscar took a big super repair sausage by himself, he went out to make breakfast, while the clone stayed in the house and continued to organize his thoughts to ensure that he would be foolproof when he realized last night's idea in the future. In this case, Oscar is actually doing two things at once, because although the clone and Oscar are mentally connected, it is still Oscar himself who is thinking about the problem. However, for today's Oscar, multitasking is the most basic operation, because the first requirement of a sword is to multipurpose, or even 3 or 4. Now Oscar has been able to control 5 flying swords at the same time to form an attacking and killing formation, which is a true multitasking of 5 things. After making breakfast, Oscar, Gaiyu and Duguyan had breakfast, and then the 3 of them set off for Bilin Stream. Bilin Stream is more than 80 miles away from their location, but Gaiyu and Oscar can fly with swords, so it won't take much time to get to Bilin Stream. After half a day, the 3 of them walked all the way enjoying the beautiful scenery, and finally arrived at Bilin Stream. Bilin Stream is a unique and beautiful place in the far north. Here, an icy mountain stream is as high as 1,000 meters, and the temperature gets lower as it goes deeper. The lowest place reached more than 0 degrees below zero. However, even Duguyan, who has the lowest soul power level, has reached level 40. In addition, her physical fitness has greatly improved after taking Acacia Broken Heart Red. She only feels a touch of coolness outside the Bilin Stream. It will feel cold. After arriving outside Bilin Stream, Gaiyu took the lead and entered it again. However, before entering, Gaiyu once again took a sausage of Oscar's clone, leaving a clone to protect Oscar and Duguyan. There are many soul beasts with 10,000 years or above level around this ice spirit stream. Although Oscar and Duguyan chose a relatively secluded location to hide, it is best to leave a clone for protection just in case. After all, even a clone with only 60% of Gaiyu's strength is enough to explode into contra-level strength, and even if you really encounter a soul beast that is so powerful that even its clones can't deal with it, Gaiyu's clone can still resist it for a while until Gaiyu comes back to support. After Gaiyu entered the Bilin Stream, Oscar also discovered another use of the clone, which was a remote communication tool. Because the main body and the clone are spiritually connected, Gaiyu can tell Oscar and Duguyan about some of the situations he encountered in the Bilin Stream through the clone. In this regard, Oscar has also become more aware of the special role of his clone sausage. As long as he uses it well, this clone sausage is definitely a bug-level ability. Gaiyu's clone was alerting the surroundings while talking to Oscar and the others. Xiao Ao, I seem to have discovered the ice origin Chilong you mentioned, but there is not only one in this ice spirit stream, but a group. Hearing this, Oscar raised his eyebrows. Teacher, you only need to catch one with a cultivation level of 15,000 years. There is no need to fight. Hearing this, Gaiyu's clone, who was on guard, looked back at Oscar. You brat, do I still need your command? There are at least 10 ice origin Chilongs here, and the one with the highest cultivation level may have reached more than 70,000 years. The clone said, frowning, and then said, stop talking, I'm going to take action. About half an hour later, Gaiyu's clone suddenly disappeared. It was obviously absorbed and replenished by Gaiyu's soul power. Not long after, Gaiyu carried a snow-white ice ball with a length of more than 7 meters. Yuan Chilong returned to the hiding place of Oscar and Duguyan. Gaiyu threw the ice origin Chilong on the ground and said with some sigh, those groups of ice origin Chi dragons actually have abilities similar to martial soul fusion skills. The power of their attacks together made me feel a lot of pressure. After a pause, Gaiyu said slowly, but it's okay, playing on the ice, these beasts are still a little worse than teachers. When Duguyan saw the dying ice origin Chilong with one breath remaining, he showed a delighted smile. Oscar said at the right time, "The 14,500-year-old ice origin Chilong, sister, quickly deal with it and absorb the soul ring." Duguyan nodded when he heard the words, and the right hand he slowly raised suddenly turned into a row of green dragon claws, and the sharp claws shimmering with cold light directly pierced the heart of the ice source Chi dragon. The last vitality of the ice origin Chilong was wiped out. Immediately afterwards, a dark 10,000-year soul ring slowly condensed. Duguyan sat down and adjusted his breath, releasing his martial soul. There were 3 colors on his body, 2 yellow and 1 purple. The soul ring slowly rose and began to absorb her fourth 10,000-year soul ring. Duguyan's current physical fitness and mental strength can at least absorb a 15,000-year level soul ring. Although this ice origin Chilong is a dragon species and has the highest quality, it is just at Duguyan's limit. Although it was a bit stressful for Duguyan to absorb this soul ring, the process was considered safe and sound, but it took a little longer. It took a full day for Duguyan to absorb the soul ring this time. When the black soul ring settled on her body, the fluctuation of soul power emitted by Duguyan reached level 47. Gayu was extremely surprised by this, but Oscar's expression did not change much, as if this was just expected. The increase in Duguyan's soul power level is actually not terrible. After all, the Immortal Emperor can at least bring about a 10-level increase in soul power to a soul master who is in his 30s or 40s, and Duguyan is only at level 47 now, and 2 of the levels of soul power are likely to be given by absorbing the 10,000-year soul ring beyond the previous level. Therefore, after taking the Acacia Broken Heart Red, the increase in soul power brought to her by this immortal great emperor is only about level 5, and Oscar knew the reason for this. The reason why the increase in soul power level was not as terrifying as imagined was because most of the medicinal power of Lovesickness Broken Heart Red was used to evolve Duguyan's martial soul. The evolution of martial souls is obviously more useful than just improving the soul power level, so it is actually a surprise that Duguyan can have such an improvement in soul power. After all, her martial spirit has evolved from the green-scaled snake, which can only be regarded as a high-level martial spirit, to the top-level green-scaled poisonous dragon. And this is only the beginning of the evolution of her martial spirit. As her strength improves in the future, the evolution of her martial soul will be more perfect, which is the real gain for Duguyan, and after completely absorbing this fourth 10,000-year soul ring, Duguyan's appearance and martial soul also underwent some changes. There was a touch of ice blue in the original green eyes, and there was also a touch of ice blue in the green hair. Got some ice blue, obviously. Absorbing this 10,000-year soul ring of true dragon quality allowed Duguyan's martial soul bloodline to be purified again and fed back to her body. If originally Duguyan's appearance could only barely reach the first-tier level, then now Duguyan's appearance has completely reached the top first-tier level, coupled with her charming and mature figure. If Duguyan changes into a Tang San now, she will definitely make Oscar fans fascinated and excited. If Gayu hadn't been here, Oscar, who was already 13 years old, would have been unable to help himself from having an intimate and in-depth communication with his sister, and to be honest, Oscar is not a pedantic person. She didn't dare to have a relationship with Duguyan before because Dugubo was here. Now her relationship with Duguyan is stronger than ever. If given the opportunity and conditions permit, Oscar will never restrain himself. After all, as the saying goes, holding it in for too long will cause problems. Oscar doesn't want to be a problem boy. Duguyan stood up with a face of joy. For soul rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple and 1 black, were floating quietly on her body. She raised her eyes and looked at Oscar. Xiao Ao, my soul power has reached 40. Level 7, and there is no sign of frivolity at all. The degree of solidification of soul power is no less than that of a soul master at the Soul King level. The improvement that the Acacia Heartbroken Red has brought to me is simply too great. Duguyan's voice was full of excitement, and she was obviously very excited about taking the Immortal Emperor of Acacia Heartbroken Red. If she had insisted on not taking the Acacia Heartbroken Red, she would never have such a gain now. Oscar smiled and nodded. Sister, congratulations, I'm only level 43, and you are already level 47. Guy Yu also said happily from the side, Yen, your breakthrough this time is simply too big. If Brother Dugubo knows about your improvement, he will definitely jump with excitement. Hearing what Oscar and Guy Yu said, Duguyan smiled even more. Hehe, it's all thanks to the immortal Emperor Lovesick Heartbroken Red that Xiao Ao gave me. Then I saw Duguyan withdrew his martial soul, and the soul ring was restrained in his body. He came to Oscar and hugged him gently, thank you, Xiao Ao. P.S. Typos should be corrected first and then corrected, please give me a recommendation vote, a monthly pass. Many readers want to hurry up and watch the plot where the protagonist molests Tang San and Xiao Wu. Jin Wu can only tell you that it will be soon, because there is another point about the application of the clone sausage that needs to be written down later. This is the key to many of the protagonist's plans later. For example, using a clone to steal the Blue Silver Emperor while Tang San was coming to Shrek and Tang Hao was following him. I won't say much more, after all, spoilers are pointless. However, my previous design was to use avatars to interact with other female protagonists, but in the end I chose to write a single female protagonist. This was later abandoned. Alas, this way, a lot of interesting plots were missing. Suddenly I regretted writing a female lead role. Finally, thank you. Please vote. Chapter 98 Return to the Academy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The three of them did not stay in Bingling Stream for long. After Duguyan absorbed the soul ring, he returned directly to Guy Yu's residence in Frozen Mountain. This time out, Oscar and Duguyan both achieved a complete success. Oscar gained a fourth soul skill comparable to a 100,000-year soul ring, while Duguyan's martial soul also evolved and also absorbed a 10,000-year soul skill. The fourth soul ring of the year, the three of them did not stay in the far north, but chose to return directly to Shrek Academy. The few people were not in a hurry on the way back, but walked and played along the way. It took a full month to return to Shrek Academy. Midway is basically a two-person world belonging to Oscar and Duguyan, while Guy Yu is like a light bulb, and it is precisely because of this that Oscar and Duguyan joked with Guy Yu and asked him to find a mistress for them. After all, living alone for a lifetime is indeed a bit lonely. However, Guy Yu didn't have so many thoughts about this, and everything went as it should, and from Oscar's point of view, with his teacher's personality, unless the woman is very enthusiastic, it is probably impossible for the teacher to find a mistress for him. In fact, Oscar has always had one candidate in mind for his mistress, and that is Lu Erlong. In the original work, Lu Erlong always took advantage of the Master Yu Xiaojiang, but in Oscar's view, Yu Xiaojiang is really not worthy of Lu Erlong. On the other hand, it is quite possible for my teacher to be compatible with Lu Erlong. After all, one ice and one fire, together they are the two heavens of ice and fire, but this is all a thing for another day. But if there is a chance, Oscar will definitely bring his teacher and Lu Erlong together. After all, Lu Erlong's talent is not bad, even better than Flanders and Zhao Wuji. If his teacher could combine with Lu Erlong, he would be able to save the young woman who had fallen behind and avoid being destroyed by Yu Xiaojiang, a scumbag. After returning to Shrek Academy, Oscar did not hide his improvement and showed Flanders and Ma Hongjun his fourth 10,000-year soul ring, and when everyone in Shrek Academy learned about the terrifying soul power levels of Duguyan and Oscar, everyone became uneasy. Oscar at level 43 is still within the range of understanding. After all, the third soul ring absorbed by Dai Mubai at a higher level also directly increased his soul power to level 32. Now Oscar's fourth soul ring has reached level 43. Level is also reasonable. However, it is indeed hard to imagine that Duguyan would reach level 47 after obtaining a soul ring, but Duguyan's explanation was the special elixir given to her by Dugubo. Regarding this point, Guy Yu, Oscar, and the others had already colluded to make a confession. After all, as long as the blame was passed on to Dugubo, no matter how envious Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqin were, they could only envy Duguyan for having a good grandfather with a title of Douluo. There will be no other ideas. After all, this is a benefit that a grandfather gives to his granddaughter, and they can only regret that they cannot get it themselves. However, even Dai Mubai has experienced the benefits of absorbing soul rings beyond levels, but he still cannot imagine that the fourth soul ring can absorb the 10,000-year level. After all, as a member of the royal family, he still knew the theoretical knowledge about soul beasts, not to mention that Lu Qibin taught them theoretical knowledge. They all knew that in addition to the strong pressure it brought to the body, the 10,000-year soul ring also had terrifying soul shocks. If the mental power cannot withstand the shock of the soul, the worst result will be that the mental power will be broken and you will become stupid. But there is no way, who will let Duguyan have a good grandfather? Poison Douluo is well known in the mainland for his poison, and the people who use poison naturally have extraordinary understanding of pharmacology. In the eyes of others, Oscar can be regarded as receiving benefits from Duguyan. After all, as Duguyan's boyfriend and having recognized Dugu Bo as his godfather, it is natural for the old man to give him some benefits, but perhaps the one I envy the most is Dai Mubai. It's not like he doesn't have a grandfather named Douluo, but he doesn't get such treatment either. However, after joining Shrek Academy for so long, Dai Mubai is still not confused about the importance. Although he is envious of this, he has no other unnecessary thoughts. After all, he was able to obtain whale glue to improve his physical fitness, and the third soul ring was absorbed beyond the level, which was already an unexpected surprise. Moreover, in the more than a month since Oscar and the others left, Dai Mubai and the others have also made considerable progress. Their soul power has reached level 36 from the late level 35, and Zhu Zhuqing has also reached level 26 from the late level 25. Each increased their soul power by one level, and Ma Hongjun has also reached the peak from the early stage of level 39, and is only one step away from the bottleneck of level 40. There is still about a year before Tang San comes to Shrek. During this time, each of them can still improve a lot. When Tang San and the others come to Shrek, even Dai Mubai, who has the lowest soul power level, and Zhu Zhuqing can also surpass the level of the original work. Moreover, Flanders and the others are seeing Zhu Zhuqing's performance now, so after research, they decided to give Zhu Zhuqing whale glue to quickly increase her soul power and improve her physical fitness. When Zhu Zhuqing obtains the third soul ring in the future, he will also be able to absorb it beyond the level. Moreover, as Zhu Zhuqing becomes stronger, her and Dai Mubai's martial soul fusion skills will also be greatly improved, which is also a big improvement for their group. After taking whale gum, Zhu Zhuqing not only greatly improved his physical fitness, but his soul power level also reached the peak of level 26 from level 25, which is only one step away from level 27. It can be said that in the future, before Tang San and the others arrive, Zhu Zhuqing will be able to break through level 30 and advance to the Soul Master realm, and all of this is because of the little butterfly Oscar. So Shrek Academy has undergone the current changes, and the Shrek 7 monsters in the original book have become more talented, of course, except for Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong. After all, these three people have not yet come to Shrek Academy, so naturally they will not change the development trend of the original work, but when they come to Shrek Academy, everything will change from the original work. After all, whether it is Oscar or the other people in Shrek Academy, they are no longer what they used to be. The improvement of Oscar and Duguyan was actually secondary. What was most unimaginable to everyone at Shrek Academy was Oscar's terrifying fourth soul skill. Oscar really wanted to hide his fourth soul skill, but that was only for outsiders. Today's Shrek was completely another family for him. Even Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing later had completely integrated into this big family. So there is no need for him to hide, and when everyone in Shrek Academy learned about the effect of Oscar's fourth soul skill, everyone felt incredible. They have the same idea as Guy Yu and Duguyan, that is, Oscar's fourth soul skill is no less than the skill given by 100,000-year soul ring. Especially Dai Mubai, after just knowing the effect of Oscar's soul skills, he felt that he would not be afraid even if he lost in the battle with his elder brother in the future. After all, he can borrow Oscar's sausage clone to fake his death. Oscar's soul skill is like a snake oil. If used well, it will definitely be a bug-level terrifying ability in the future, and Oscar himself thinks so. Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. Feel sorry. I was delayed by something today, just one chapter. I will finish it tomorrow. Chapter 99. Tang San is here, Lord Lingyu sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After returning to the academy, Oscar has never been idle again, because now he has more things to plan and lay out besides studying and practicing. The root of all this is his fourth soul skill. The ability to clone sausages, and clone sausages will play an unimaginable and terrifying role in the hands of Oscar, a new young man from the 21st century. Over time, it will make the entire Douluo Continent tremble, and Oscar has made a very detailed plan for this. As long as the plan is implemented, Oscar will bring about earth-shaking changes to the entire Soul Master world and even the Douluo Continent. Of course, Oscar has not forgotten to go to Flanders's small shop to pan for gold. After all, Shrek Academy is not short of money now because Xiao Xian auctions soul skills. However, Flanders, a money man, still retains his little habit of hunting for treasures. From time to time, new gadgets appear in his little shop, and a few months later, as expected, Oscar found a piece of plate gold in Flanders's small Soul Master shop, and it was the top grade of plate gold, Fajin, and this was the first time in the original work that Tang San injured Zhao Wuji's best hidden weapon, the Dragon Beard Needle. But this Dragon's Beard Needle has now fallen into Oscar's hands, and in the future, this Dragon's Beard Needle will also make countless contributions to Oscar. Jiando Empire, Barak Kingdom, Soto City. There are two most important cities in the Kingdom of Barak. One is the capital city of Barak, where King Kundla of Barak lives. It is the political and economic center of the entire Kingdom of Barak. The other city is Soto City, which is located in the center of the Lima Plain, the most fertile land in the Kingdom of Barak, and is known as the Granary of Barak. The reason why Flanders chose Soto City to establish Shrek Academy was precisely because it was prosperous and rich enough. However, due to some special reasons, Flanders offended the Lord of Soto City, so he was unable to open a college in Soto City. Instead, he chose a nearby village to take root. However, with Soto City as its back, there is no need to worry about making money. After all, Oscar and Xiao Xian's auction of soul skills later showed the purchasing power of soul masters here. It was just after noon, the sun was blazing, and two young men, a man and a woman, walked in from the west gate of Soto City. They all looked to be in their teens and didn't carry much luggage with them. The boy was dressed simply. He looked about 12 or 13 years old. He was about 1.7 meters tall. He was wearing a light blue outfit and looked very smart. The boy wears a belt inlaid with 24 jade stones around his waist. His semi-long black hair barely reaches his shoulders. Although his appearance is not handsome, he gives people a feeling that he is very approachable because the corners of his mouth always have a smile on his face. With a faint smile, if the boy looks peaceful and ordinary, then the girl next to him looks not so ordinary. Her smooth and silky black hair was combed into neat scorpion braids. Even the braids still hung down past her calves. She was half a point taller than the boy. She wore a pink dress on her upper body. The figure that has begun to grow is tightly covered, and her waist is so slender that it can't be grasped, which is enough to make countless women envy. Her naturally curved eyebrows, a pair of big watery eyes and a slightly round pink face are not only beautiful, but also give people a somewhat delicate feeling. The word cute seems to be tailor-made for her. The boy stood beside her, already obscured by her invisible brilliance. It is worth mentioning that the girl wears a pink sachet around her waist, which exudes a faint fragrance of green grass. The girl raised her hand, swiped it on her slightly damp forehead, and said with some complaint, "We finally arrived at this Soto City. I really don't know what the master is thinking. There are obviously several intermediate and advanced Soul Master academies. They all said they would recruit us unconditionally, but he insisted on letting you come to take the exam at that shabby academy here that doesn't even have grades." The boy smiled slightly and said, "The teacher asked me to take the exam, but he didn't ask you to come." "Who told you to come with me?" "Fortunately, the Kingdom of Barak and Fasno province border on each other, otherwise wouldn't you have to complain even more?" The girl rolled her eyes at the boy and said, "It's so heartless. I didn't do this for you. Who made you my brother?" As she said that, the girl pouted. "Anyway, the entrance exam is the day after tomorrow. No matter what, you have to accompany me to play in Soto City for 2 days to make up for the damage to my young mind." The boy burst out laughing when he heard this and said, the eldest sister of the prestigious Notting College for 6 consecutive years, still has a young mind? Let your group of younger brothers see it. I wonder what they will think, that this man and woman were none other than Tang San and Xiao Wu, who came from Notting Junior Soul Master Academy. Soto City is much larger and more lively than Notting City. Patrolling soldiers can be seen everywhere on the streets, and there is an endless flow of people. The two of them had a quick bite to eat first, and then looked for a place to stay. Not long after, Xiao Wu made a novel discovery. Mistress, come here and take a look. There is actually a Lingyu escort agency here. Moreover, there are this escort agency in several cities we passed through. It seems that it has become a landmark building. Who on earth can you think of such a person? Capital. Xiao Wu and Tang San couldn't help but sigh when they came to an escort agency. Of course, the two of them did not come to the escort agency to send things. The reason why they came here when they saw the escort agency was because there would definitely be a restaurant next to the Lingyu escort agency, with the same name as the Lingyu escort agency, called Lingyu Restaurant. As for Lingyu Restaurant, no matter in terms of service quality, living experience, or the various delicacies inside, it can be said that it is the most comfortable and best restaurant that Xiao Wu has experienced in so many years. Since the Lingyu restaurant opened in Noa more than half a year ago, in Dingcheng, Xiao Wu would go to a restaurant to spend money almost every once in a while. The escort agency and the restaurant that start with the word Lingyu come from the same family, but no matter you go to any good city, you can now see these two iconic buildings. No matter where they appear, they will be appeared together. The Lingyu Escort Bureau is of the same nature as the escort bureaus used by ordinary people, except that the Lingyu Escort Bureau not only takes orders from ordinary people, but also from soul masters, and the people who send darts are all soul masters. Such great efforts and high-quality services suddenly spread everywhere. It is said that Lingyu escorts and Lingyu restaurants have not only begun to rise in various cities in the Tiando Empire, but even in the realm of the Star Luo Empire. The word Lingyu has quickly become popular, basically no matter where they go. In cities, you can see escort agencies and restaurants belonging to Lingyu. The Lingyu Escort Bureau is the one with the best service and the most users in the entire Douluo Continent, because it is said that behind the Lingyu Escort Bureau there are two tidal Douluo platforms, one of whom is the poisoned DouluoDalu who has become famous in the mainland more than 10 years ago, and the other is the leader of the Lingyu Sword Sect, known as the Lingyu Sword Lord. No one has seen the Lingyu Sword Lord, and the Lingyu Sword Sect seems to be a hidden sect. It only appeared on the mainland in the past year, and as soon as it appeared, it made a big move and established the Lingyu Escort Bureau and the Lingyu Restaurant. It is said that Lingyu Sword Lord and Poison DouluoDalu are close friends. The reason why Poison Douluo was able to support Lingyu Sword Lord was not to make money, but to do a favor for his friend's sake. Moreover, when the first Lingyu Escort Agency and Lingyu Restaurant appeared, they aroused the covetousness of many forces because of their excellent services and strong ability to make money. Some people even took action against the Lingyu Escort Agency, but in the end they were all eliminated one by one. Among the most powerful forces were Soul Saint level experts, but in the end these coveters had only one fate, and that was to be exterminated. Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. New plot is coming. Brother Meng, please vote for your monthly ticket. Chapter 100 Lingyu Sword Sect and Bilin Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The hidden sect of the Lingyu Sword Sect was born only 1 year ago, but it has left strong traces on the mainland, and the most surprising thing is that after the birth of a hidden sect that was so large that it could rival the last 3 sects, it didn't just open a so-called escort agency and a restaurant for fame, wealth and power. However, everyone at the top of the Soul Master world knows how terrifying the Lingyu Escort Bureau's ability to make money is. The Lingyu Escort Agency is also nicknamed Kamikaze Express because whether it is an ordinary person's order or a Soul Master's order, no matter how far away it is, it can be delivered in time within 3 days at the latest, and the person delivering the escort is still a Soul Master, at least a 40-level Soul Master at the Soul Sect level, although there are only 100,000 Soul Masters on the Douluo Continent, ordinary people have more than 10 billion. Even the lowest express delivery only charges 1 copper soul coin, which adds up to a terrifying amount. What's more, many Soul Masters also need to transport some things, or even send letters. Because the reputation of Lingyu Escort Bureau is so good that it is completely worthy of trust, those who dare to damage the reputation of Lingyu Escort Bureau will basically be exterminated the next day. There were even many forces that were exterminated because they offended the Lingyu Escort Bureau, and there were also rumors about several strong men in the Lingyu sword sect. The two most famous among them are the fire sword and the ice sword. It is said that these two are also the guardian elders of the Lingyu sword sect, specializing in dealing with those lawless elements who covet the Lingyu escort agency and are detrimental to the escort agency. In fact, these are the two elemental abilities used by Oscar's clone, ice and fire, but they were destroyed with the help of Dugubo's clone, and no one escaped alive, so the rumors became more and more mysterious, and it was precisely because of the appearance of the Lingyu escort that the entire Soul Master world knew that Dugubo was not alone. He also had his own family, but it seemed that his family was living in seclusion before because the Lingyu sword sect was born. Only then appeared on the mainland. Why are there such rumors? Because once Dugubo was invited to the palace by Prince Xuexing of the Tiando royal family to enjoy the flowers, and a force far away in the Balik kingdom planned to get a share of the newly emerged Lingyu escort bureau, then, they were directly killed by a titled Douluo whose martial spirit was suspected of being a green-scaled snake. Moreover, that titled Douluo even made harsh words, saying that if anyone dared to take advantage of their Lingyu escort bureau, he, Duguao and the entire Bilin family will not let them go. Note 1. At that time, when Duguao took action to destroy the family, Dugubo was admiring the flowers in the palace. When Prince Xuexing learned about this later, he asked Dugubo, and Dugubo also admitted that he was indeed from the Bilin family, but he was the least talented in the family, and his martial spirit was only the Bilin snake. So he was kicked out of the family. Prince Snowstar asked why. Are you a titled Douluo? The martial soul Jade Phosphorus Snake Emperor is now comparable to the ancestor of all snakes. Will your family still dislike you? Dugubo immediately covered his face and sighed. My martial spirit has indeed evolved step by step from the Jade Scale Snake to the Jade Phosphorus Snake Emperor, comparable to the ancestor of all snakes, but the martial spirit inherited by our family is the Jade Scale Dragon Emperor. They are dragons and I am just a snake. There are many, many rumors like this, mixed with half-truths and half-falsehoods. They spread to the entire continent in a short period of time, and were quickly popularized by those who did not know the news, and precisely because of this, no one dares to provoke the Lingyu Escort Bureau now. After all, there are at least 2 or 3 titled Douluo behind them. And it is precisely because of this that the top first-class forces in the mainland such as Wuhuan Palace, Xingluo Royal Family and Tiando Royal Family, and the Qibao Glazed Sect among the 3 upper sects have all attracted Lingyu Sword Sect and Dugubo's family. It's just that Lingyu Sword Lord is very tactful. He has not accepted solicitations from major forces. He only said that he was born now because he wanted to give some training to the disciples of the sect and let them walk in the world to understand the deeper swordsmanship and so on. There were a lot of excuses, and no one could find fault with them. The key point was that after they refused, they still made peace with these big forces, even the 4 sects, and all the major kingdoms and principalities on the mainland. It is the Lingyu Sword sect that does not compete or rob, and only operates restaurants and escort agencies, and is also willing to pay some dividends to these supporting forces every year. After such a whole routine, there is no obstacle to the Lingyu Sword sect's affairs. After all, their strength is here, and those who really want to get a piece of the pie have to see if their fists are strong. Now people are willing to be friends with you and even give you money for free. You only need to free up a small area within the jurisdiction of your forces to build buildings for them. Only fools will choose to go against them. What's more, the grass on the graves facing them is now several feet high, so in just 1 year, the Lingyu Sword sect has taken root all over the mainland, with restaurants and escort agencies rising up. Tang San and Xiao Wu entered the restaurant, and Tang San walked to the counter in a familiar manner. Please give us 2 rooms, and we can also serve a table of the 8 immortals of food. When he was in Nodding City, Xiao Wu would come back to the Lingyu restaurant every once in a while to spend money. Although he was now in the Lingyu restaurant in Soto City, when Tang San came in, he found that both the furnishings and the dishes inside They were exactly the same, so he followed the previous instructions with ease. and because of the change of the Lingyu restaurant, Tang San and Xiao Wu did not encounter any ambiguous waiters, and only one room was left for them too. I also didn't meet Dai Mubai, because now Dai Mubai has not left Shrek Academy at all, but is practicing in seclusion. The waiter agreed, and then handed over 2 small jade signs. The rooms are on the 4th floor, 401 and 402. Will the meals be delivered to the room or eaten in the restaurant on the 2nd floor? Tang San glanced at Xiao Wu, and Xiao Wu said, please send it to 401. The waiter nodded when he heard this, wrote down Xiao Wu's request in a note, and then said, there is a silver soul coin for the 2 rooms, and a gold soul coin for each table of the 8 immortals of food. As soon as the waiter finished speaking, Tang San had already skillfully handed over a gold soul coin and a silver soul coin. Seeing this, the waiter smiled slightly. It seems that you two are regular customers. I'm sorry I didn't have them just now. I recognize you too. Tang San wasn't surprised to see such a polite waiter, because the reputation of Lingyu restaurant was so good. He had already experienced it when he was in Nodding City. Tang San smiled back, it doesn't matter, it's my first time to come to your restaurant, but I often went to your restaurant chain before when I was in Nodding City. The waiter kept smiling after hearing this, then I wish you a pleasant meal. Then Tang San pulled Xiao Wu up to the 4th floor, not noticing at all the masked young man who was settling accounts with an abacus in the hotel lobby. The young man just glanced at Tang San and Xiao Wu, and didn't seem to notice. Just arrived, after Tang San and Xiao Wu went upstairs, the young man's lips curled up, we're finally here. And just when Tang San and Xiao Wu went upstairs, a girl wearing a simple white glazed dress also walked in. The girl has long, smooth black hair, and she seems to be about half a head shorter than Xiao Wu who just passed by. The girl has a delicate face, delicate and white skin, and is very beautiful, like a princess who stepped out of a storybook. The girl, just like Tang San and Xiao Wu before, asked for a room and a meal, and then went upstairs. The young man wearing a mask looked at the girl going upstairs with a smile on his face. What a coincidence. Please recommend and vote for me, monthly tickets. In fact, Jinwoo has already thought about the plot of this stage, and the subsequent layout of Oscar's use of the 4th soul skill will also be unfolded one by one. When I originally designed this chapter, I wrote an outline of almost 100,000 words. However, recently many book friends feel that the plot is a bit watery, but there is no way. Many things must be introduced before everyone can understand it. Otherwise, if a certain character suddenly appears, or Oscar's clone suddenly appears somewhere and does something, everyone will be a little confused, so I had to write it out slowly, stage by stage. Although this is a fanfic, many plots were designed by Jinwoo himself. However, in the future, Jinwoo will try to simplify the plot without procrastination, so that everyone can watch it comfortably. Thank you.